Hey guys, this is Princess here, and in today's video we're going to talk about the next Eldian burst for this month. So the Square Enix stream hinted that the next character to get their Eldian burst is going to be Onion Knight. So Onion Knight's LD weapon is called the Royal Sword, and this will grant him the skills Sword and Magic. It is a 6-hit Ice Melee Brave HP attack, followed by a 3-hit AoE Ice Magic Brave HP attack. It has a 150% max Brave Overflow, it deals split damage, it lowers all targets' ice resist down for 4 turns, and it grants Onion Knight the skill level 99 effect for 8 turns. This will also move all allies' turn in the next order, and the party will get a free skill use on the next turn, with some skills excluded. As for the skill level 99 buff, this will raise, it raises attack, Brave Overflow limit, it raises Brave and HP damage dealt, and it also raises the party's max Brave. So looking at the LD passives, at 1 out of 3 you get Sword and Magic Power, which will raise Sword and Magic's Brave damage. At 2 out of 3 you get skill level 99 longer. This will extend his LD effect for 8 turns, so he will have it for 16 turns in total. And then at 3 out of 3 you get Sword and Magic Charge, which adds another use to Sword and Magic. And each time you limit break this LD, it raises Onion Knight's attack and his max Brave. So next up we have his burst weapon, which is the Kikui Chimanji. I forgot to crop the name on there, but this will grant him the finishing burst ninjutsu, which is an 8-hit Ice Melee Brave HP attack delivered twice, but if you have the stage buff on him, it changes into Spellbook, which is a 12-hit AoE Ice Magic Brave HP attack that will deal split damage. It does deal more damage on single targets. His burst effect is 6 turns and is party-wide. Now, it raises physical attack if you use ninjutsu, but if you use Spellbook instead, it raises magic attack. It also raises Brave damage dealt, and also the Brave Overflow limit. It also raises HP damage dealt, and also raises the maximum Brave damage limit. So in other words, it raises cap damage. And keep in mind that same burst effects do not stack. So these are the banners that will be featuring Onion Knight's LD and burst. Well, the first one features his LD and his burst. The second one will just feature his burst, but it also features Gal's LD instead. And these banners will be released along with the new story content that we're getting for Arc 3, Chapter 1, Part 1. So the next character to get their LD and burst is going to be Cecil, and this is the Paladin version we're looking at. The Dark Knight version does not have his burst. So starting with his LD weapon, it is called the Mythgraven Blade, and this will grant him the skill Luminous Shard. It's an 8-hit AoE Holy Range Brave HP attack that deals split damage. It does deal more damage on single targets. It has a 200% max Brave Overflow and restores HP by 100% of HP damage dealt, the limit being 60% of his max HP. Any excess HP you have will be converted into Brave. And then it inflicts Holy Resist down to all targets for 4 turns, and it grants the effect Entrusted Crystal for 6 turns. So you get a free skill use on the next turn as well, but some skills will be excluded. So as for the Entrusted Crystal effect, so this will raise the party's defense, it grants HP regen, and raises the party's max HP overflow. So in other words, you can now have like max HP. It's kind of like when you use Porum's EX or Hope's LD. And then when Cecil's HP is full, it raises the party's Brave and HP damage dealt, and also reduces the party HP damage taken. Moving on to the LD passives, at 1 out of 3 you get Luminous Shard Power, which will raise Luminous Shard's Brave damage. At 2 out of 3 you get Entrusted Crystal Longer, which will extend the Entrusted Crystal buff for 6 turns, so now he will have it for 12 turns in total. And then at 3 out of 3 you get Luminous Shard Charge, which will add another use to his LD skill, and each time you limit break his LD, it raises Cecil's max Brave and his attack. Finally, we have Cecil's burst weapon, the Waxing Sword. This will grant him the finishing burst Soul Shift, which is a 15-hit AoE Holy Range Brave HP attack that deals full damage. It does deal more Brave damage on single targets. His burst effect is 5 turns and is party-wide. It raises Brave damage dealt, raises the gained Brave Overflow limit, restores HP based on max HP, it raises Brave based on individual current HP at the start of the turn, and then when HP is max, it raises the maximum Brave damage limit and maximum obtainable Brave and HP damage limit. Keep in mind, those similar burst effects do not stack. Okay, so Cecil's Eldian Burst will be featured on a raid event. You're going to be fighting the Hellworm, I think it was called. It was the boss that you fight in Arc 2, Chapter 7, alongside with Sephiroth. So there's going to be 2 banners available. The first one will have Cecil's LD and his burst, and then the other one will have Cecil's burst, but it will have Comlinot's LD instead. And then the last 2 banners that will feature Cecil's burst, it will be on Kais's Lost Chapter, which will also have Kais's LD, and then it will be on the FEOD Transcendence banner, which also features Gabrant's LD. Okay, I realized I forgot to show off the other banners that will have Onion Knight's burst, but the last 2 banners that will have it will be Arciella's Lost Chapter, and then on the new story banner, which will feature Theodore's gear. Okay, so we are back on Opera Omnia JP. So here is my Onion Knight over here. I have his full burst. I also have his LD, as you can see on the weapon gloss. Same thing with Paladin Cecil. I've got his burst as well, and I have his LD right over here. Alright, so we are going to start off with Onion Knight first. So I'm going to do... So here's Sword and Magic. We go over to Onion... Or, not to Onion Knight, we go over to Cecil. So now, when we go over to Cecil, so now, as you can see, Onion Knight has the skill level 99 effect on him. So now Cecil has a free skill use. So now I'm going to do Luminous Shard. I love the animation for this, by the way. Like that. And now their max HP is up too. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with the burst. And I'm going to show off Onion Knight's burst twice, because I do want to show off Ninjutsu and Spellbook. So as this is going on, just to summarize what Onion Knight gets, or Onion Knight and Cecil. So starting with Onion Knight first, his LD has turn manipulation, he gets a free skill use, his LD effect does provide some really nice auras as well, he can also lower ice resist. His burst effect is still one of my favorites because it can differentiate based on the skill use. The burst effect has some really great auras in it as well, and it can also be really flexible depending on the team that you're using. So if you're running a team of like physical attackers, that's where Ninjutsu can come in, and if you're running a team of magic users, that's where Spellbook can come in. Alright, so now I'm going to do this again. Okay, so here is Spellbook. Yeah, so he uses, I think the first one was Blizzaga, then Flare, then Holy, and then finishes it with Meteor. Okay, so now we're going to start with Cecil's Burst. Alright, so just to summarize what Cecil gets, so his LD not only heals, but also raises max HP. His LD also raises defense by 120%, which is a lot. It also raises Brave and HP damage due to his LD effect. It also reduces the party HP damage taken, which can really come in handy in certain fights. Burst effect also restores his HP and also raises cap damage when Cecil has max HP. Also, you can see that he has the Entrusted Crystal effect right over here. Alright, so we are almost done, and then we just have to show off the finishing burst. Yeah, he will take on his Dark Knight form as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, so that covers up everything for Onion Knight and for Cecil, so thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know whose LD and Burst you will be pulling for, and I will see you all in my next video.